So we've got some big spreads in this window. The UF game, Florida laying 28.5 against Norfolk State. We've got the other SEC teams, Kentucky laying 11.5 against Troy. Of these games, which one caught your eye first?
Well, I do want to say that I don't know if you saw this story, but I thought it was interesting, and I just wanted to get your take on it. Did you see that Norfolk State's head coach was talking about how angry they are that this is a 22.5 point spread or 28.5 point spread? He was like, I can't believe this. He goes, I know Florida's really good. They run a great program, got great players. But are we that bad that the point spread is like that? I'm a little angry. I'm a little bit more focused. I think we play better when we're angry. I'm like, well, no offense, but you're taking on a team that can win the national title. So we'll see if Norfolk State plays angry today because they even noticed the line, which is interesting because a lot of times coaches say, oh, we don't look at things like that. So I still think Florida's going to blow out Norfolk State. But good luck, guys. I do like Akron today is who I like. I'm going to take Akron plus 14.5 against Arizona. I think that's the play that I like the most from the early evening slate. Arizona is a team that drives me absolutely bonkers. This is way too many points. Now, Zona scores a lot of points. There's no question about that. And when they get hot, they can play with anyone. But that's the problem, is that is the outlier when they get hot. This is a bad shooting team. They shoot 32.4% from long range. That is 247th in the country. They don't play good three-point defense, and that will hurt them against the Zips because the Zips are a top 50 team in the country from beyond the arc. This is an Akron team that is also tournament tested. They've made the dance for the third time in 4 seasons. They've got the experience here. And Arizona, in its last 11 games, 4-7 against the number. So I'm not saying an outright upset here, but I will take the Zips plus the points.
Yeah, it feels like Arizona is one of those teams that's fully capable of laying an egg. But also, I do think we need to give some credit to Akron because it just doesn't feel like one of those slouchy teams that you look at as some of these underdogs. They're a good team. You know, if you look at their offensive numbers, they kind of fit the mold of the teams that you look at for Cinderella watch. Because usually for me, I want a team with the high-end offense. If you're trying to play giant killer. Akron, if you look at their 2-point and 3-point shooting percentages in the top 50 in both of those, and a team that plays at a really high tempo. So if Arizona wants to run a gun, Akron can do it right there with them. Top 16 in tempo. Also, winners of 7 straight. They're certainly riding some momentum going into March. So when you're getting this many points, like, it feels like the play to me. You take a risk, and isn't this the fun way to play March Madness? I want to take some of these outright underdogs, at least when it comes to the point spread, because we are talking about a 14.5-point spread. And remember, the game is survive and advance. When it comes to, the late minutes of these games, Arizona's not worried about covering a point spread. They're worried about moving on. So I think that's a good one. I will be on Akron getting the 14.5. Let's talk about the Kentucky game for just a second, because Kentucky in years past has kind of fit that mold as well as a team that has a really high tempo, high octane offense, but sometimes they don't play to the level that we kind of expect when it comes to March Madness. Granted, it's Mark Pope now coaching the Wildcats, but Troy doesn't fit the mold for me of a team that I kind of want to back, because you look at their offensive numbers and they're just not there. They certainly have some talent, but to me, I'm only looking at teams with really good shooting splits to pull off some of those upsets and to keep it close. If you look at them in some of their non-conference games, against Arkansas, they lost 65-49, and to Oregon, 82-61. So looking at the point spread in this one, it's only 11.5. So maybe Troy keeps it close. Maybe Kentucky is a little sleepy in this spot, but I don't think so. So that one's going to be left off the card for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not betting on that game. I looked at it, but just sort of decided to stay away. I'll tell you one game I do like tonight. Oklahoma and UConn. Take a wild guess where I'm going here. Just take a shot in the dark. Where do you think I'm going?
UConn. Feels like the same story as the Gonzaga game, right? Like the 8 seed that is really good.
Yes. First of all, this is a pure hate bet, okay? I don't need to tell you how much I hate Oklahoma. I didn't do a lot of research on this game. I didn't need to. It's Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley is 15-3 all time against the number. Like, that's That's as elite as it gets. And remember, he doesn't have to win this game outright. I think UConn will win this game outright. All they have to do is cover the number. So you're talking about the two-time defending national champions. The Sooners don't really do anything well, Chelsea. They just don't. They're one of the worst rebounding teams in all of college basketball. You're talking about a team that went 6-12 in the SEC. And I don't think this number is high enough. We're not giving the Huskies enough credit because they disappointed this season relative to the preseason expectations. It's still UConn. It's still Dan Hurley. And this is a bad Sooners team. Like you were saying, kind of like Gonzaga, well coached, a lot of talent, maybe not the higher seed we're used to seeing this time of year, but still good enough to cover this number. So I'm going to lay the points here.
Yeah, it feels like the exact same handicap as the Gonzaga game last night. And even like it's an SEC team that they're going against, a lower end SEC team, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm not quite as confident in this one as I was the Gonzaga game because, obviously UConn does not have the players from last year's squad, but Dan Hurley knows how to get his squad ready for the big dance. Obviously, he's won 2 national championships. So I'm not going to go against the Huskies in this one. Jeremiah Fears for Oklahoma has been really good down the stretch. I'll give him that. But it feels like Dan Hurley knows how to game plan against some of these really great players.
Yeah.
Again, he won 2 national championships back-to-back. Other plays, Bryant, I feel like might be a plucky underdog against Michigan State simply because they're getting 17.5 points. Another team that has a really good offense. I think maybe that makes the card for me. The Illinois game is interesting. Illinois laying 3.5 against Xavier. I don't think I have a side in that one just because, I don't know, it's a tight spread and I don't really like anything in that one. Jenks, is anything else making the card or is there any game that you're interested to watch?
I think the only other game making the card, I've got a couple here. And maybe I'll talk about one of these games later. I kind of like Michigan State laying 17.5 today, which I know is a monster number. I know. But I think we're sleeping on the Spartans because they lost to Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament, even though they had a great regular season. They're going to have a massive rebounding edge. They're a fantastic defensive team as well, allowing only 67 points a game. Also, Michigan State, 22-10 and 1 against the spread this season. That is a top 10 mark across college basketball. They're a much superior team here. I think it's going to be a blowout.